My actual name is Abimbola Essien Nelson, but my preferred call name is Salt, and it just simply means my desire and my purpose is to be salt of the earth. So I am the chief errand girl of the Shola Adefola Lugaska Foundation, also known as the Sholly Smile Factory. It's a foundation that was we established in honor of my late sister, Sholly Adefola Lugaska, who passed away under mysterious circumstances in Poland in 2016. Till today, we do not know what really happened to her, but we suspect domestic abuse was involved. So as a way to heal me through that pain, God sent me on different assignments. We set up the foundation and began to run errands for God, touching the lives of people, especially women and children. But in 2021, right in the middle of COVID, he gave me the biggest errand. He sent me on the biggest errand ever, which was to set up a shelter, the Sholly Serenity Place. It's a shelter where we take in vulnerable women, survivors of domestic or violent or domestic abuse, and their children. And that is the biggest errand we've been running to date. It's a home that God has set up for us to bring in his daughters who need to be poured into so that they can heal. So our mandate here is to give women shelter, love on them in any way that he sends us to, and bring them back from the brink of where they are in those dark places to a place where they now have hope again for their lives, and they see themselves as ready to go back into the world and pick up the pieces of their lives along with their children. So in a nutshell, that is what we're about. We do other things as well. We provide food, COVID-19 packages every month. We've done that since 2020. It was to mark Sholly's 40th birthday, actually, when she turned 40. We said we'll give out 40 care packages, rice, beans, gari, granite oil to 40 vulnerable families. And by the grace of God, somebody picked that up for us and said every month she's going to partner with us to do that. So we do that as well. Scholarships here and there, ad hoc acts of love. Our whole thing, our favorite trait is love. We are here, I call myself the love merchant. If I can't do anything, I want to be able to show people that God's kind of love is possible. And we, all of us in this team, we know that no matter what we face, no matter who comes into here, comes into our space, our mandate is to show them the love of God and show them that it is real and that God is real. So in a nutshell, I think that's who I am and that's what I do. Sometimes I think, it's not just a Nigerian thing. I think generally marriages, when people go into marriages, they really haven't done the due diligence that is required to go into marriage. So many times you find situations escalating in marriages because really for me, the headline problem is communication. Well, it's fine because ideally with the help of churches and counselors, you should be able to walk through those issues and find a way out to keep your vows that you made before God. But we find that does not happen. And then what happens is that there's a breakdown of communication, anger issues come in, and then violence creeps in. And there are different kinds of abuse, but the one that we are sent to is when there's domestic violence and domestic abuse in marriage. Why that happens is basically because the man has decided that he wants to resort to physicality to get his point across. Should that happen? No, but it is happening. And unfortunately, it's happened to the point where women are landing in hospital. Their legs are being broken, their eyes are being gouged out, they're being put in comas. What could be so bad in a marriage that will lead someone to do that? Somebody is vowed to love. We can never really get to the bottom of it. And I am not a marriage counselor. All I know is that it's happening, and it increased during COVID all across the world, not only in Nigeria, because there was no outlet. You could no longer go out. So normally, if there's a problem, most guys will pick up their keys and go out. You know where to go. So the numbers went up during COVID, and it really became an issue where we had to do something. People have to do something. You won't believe, the last time I checked, the percentage of women who stay in those situations do that because they think they have nowhere to go. They actually are now ready. So there's a problem getting them to be ready to leave the dangerous situation. That's a different situation. But the women who actually know that I need to get out of here, but they have nowhere to go. In Nigeria, there's only about, the last time I checked, 34 shelters in Nigeria. It even boggles the mind. So of course, when you now say leave your home, the woman is like, to where? Her family says you are married, go to your husband. There's nowhere for her to go. If she goes to a hotel or whatever the problem is magnified. That, oh, you're a married woman, you left your home to go and stay in a hotel. There's a whole narrative around how women can protect themselves. Like, because we're in a patriarchal society, people use that to even insult you, and even make things worse. So a man can go, he's not feeling good for the day, he can go to a hotel and he can go to a bar or whatever and order a drink and he's okay. If a woman needs that escape, they say she's looking for something. So you really wonder, what do you want these women to do? That's why they stay in those marriages. That's why they die in those marriages. We are saying no. You do not have to sit there and die. There is a place for you to go. And another key thing to say about this whole abuse thing is that it's not only violence, it's not only physical. And there are a lot of women who are going through tremendous emotional abuse. Like tremendous. It's just one nudge short of physical abuse. Because there's a way you can wreak havoc on a person's mind that you might as well be beating the person. You need to come out of there. Because your mental wellness is more important than your marriage. Your children need you whole. So my plea is to anyone listening to me, be you a parent, a pastor, a mommy Gio, or be you the person in need of help yourself. Reach out, do the right thing. Moms and fathers, don't send your daughters back to a place where they're running from. Take the time to listen to them. Your reputation cannot be more important than the life of your child. And you see, what is good for all of us to understand is that most of the time we tend to focus on the physical side of abuse, but I've talked, it's not just physical. There are women who are going through emotional abuse, there are women who are going through, I think the worst one is when it's physical, it's emotional, and it's financial. And you see, many times we've had cases where people get in touch with us, they fill the forms to come to us, and then last minute they change their minds. And when you dig deep into the reasons why, it's that fear of how will I cope financially. Because you see, the beautiful thing about some of our blessed husbands is that not only are they beating their wives, they're keeping them in bondage. They're keeping them in bondage by holding the purse strings. Because they also know that if they have money, they may decide to go. They can find a way out. So they don't have the financial power. That's financial abuse, when you have to ask for every kobo. You want to do your hair, excuse me sir. You want to buy bra, excuse me sir. It's bondage, and there are many women who are in that situation. So when they consider leaving, they are afraid. I say to you, dear sister, no, there's no need to be afraid, because most of the people that I work with, we know that is a problem. So when you come to us, initially our focus is on building you up emotionally and spiritually, so that you can even think that there's hope for your future. Once we get you to that stage, we actually ask you, and I know my other collaborators do the same thing, okay, what do you want to do? Because that it's almost like drinking water. When you don't have money or a way to make money, it's almost like not having water. It's such a vital thing for life. So we know that for you to leave us, you must have a source of financial power. You must know that you can take care of yourself. So we ask you, and we partner with the International Women's Society, we partner with the Sea Hope organization. They have a shelter as well, to provide these kind of trainings, for you, so that when you go out there, you can find a way to make a living for yourself and for your children. And even here, what we also do is we have residents who we've converted into staff, because we know that gives them a sense of dignity as well, to know that, okay, I'm not just here, in their minds, just jollophing, who are these people? So when we recognize that, we're like, you know what, okay, we see you have this skill, we see you have that skill, okay, can you be this force, can you be that force, and we'll give you your pay. So we're thinking about all of that. So what I'm trying to say is that please don't stay there in danger, wondering how you're going to cope. Trust me, there are people who will come around you and make sure that you will be able to cope. To parents, please, we know you love your daughters. Marriage cannot be the measure by which you are saying her life has been sorted out or she's successful. You cannot put her marriage over her life. Be the parent that will embrace your daughter back to you, even at the suspicion that her life is in danger. Because sometimes, like, no, that we were managing in our time. No, times are different. We take her back first and hear her out first. I'm praying all parents, if you're listening to me now, at the mention of domestic abuse, if your daughter tells you that her husband pushed her and she's back home, take her back first. Don't be the parent that pushes your daughter back and then you now be crying by her graveside when something bad happens to her. Because at the end of the day, that is what will happen. I tell women, and same thing for pastors, please, mommy geos, when they come to you, people in your congregation, your women, and they tell you, please don't tell them to go back and pray. It's okay. You don't have to tell them that they should divorce. We don't encourage divorce here in the Sholly Serenity place. We encourage live to live. Come here and be praying for the man to change. Go to a place of safety to pray for your marriage. Don't stay in the marriage and die there and say you were praying for it. And I'm glad that many pastors, many churches and mosques actually are now telling, very vocal about, come out of there first. And I think trying to talk to the men as well, and even we parents begin to talk to our children from a very young age, about this situation, and talk to your boys, what is not proper behavior for them as they grow up, and talk to your girls, about what is not acceptable. So it's a huge thing, and we're just very grateful that we're able to be a drop in that water. So let us be the 36th shelter that there is in Nigeria. And I really say to people, even if you don't want to get into it, because it's a huge commitment, but you can contribute by, maybe you've left the country, your home is there, it's empty. Partner with people like us. Give us the home as your seed into this kind of ministry. Let us use it so we can create more space for women. We never have enough space. We never have enough space. At one point, we're turning people back because how many people can we take in a 10 bedroom shelter? We refer people to other shelters, their shelters become full, and then what happens to the woman who now can no longer find the space? She goes back to that dangerous situation, and God forbid the next thing you hear is that she's no more. And to the woman who you're listening to me now and you're in that situation right now, you should leave, your life is in jeopardy. Please, your children do not need to be in that situation. You don't need to sacrifice your life for that situation. Your children will thank you for bringing them out of there, because they would rather be seeing you as their mom face to face as they grow up than going to your graveside to mourn over you because you were trying to stay in that situation because of them. That is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves as women, that I stayed because of my children. You survivor, my dear sister, if you know you need help, please reach out through whatever contacts you can find around this video that you're watching, or you can Google the Sholly Smile Factory. There's a way to contact us. I promise you, even if we cannot help you ourselves directly, we will find a way to save you as God helps us. For Nigeria, we need it because we know that whatever it is, we look at where we are today, the fuel crisis and shortage of fuel, we need more options. We need to be able to reach people in the places where up to today there's no electricity, there's no power. So being able to provide alternative sources like this is important. So I really give you your props for trying to do that in the way that you're doing it. And for us, this is where I can speak the most about. Having solar has changed the way we're operating. It has slashed our costs because we were buying fuel almost like 10,000 naira every single week just to sustain, because power was epileptic. And now we don't even have power because we're having an issue with our meter. So we're relying 100% on the solar that you gifted us. Imagine if we didn't have that. In this home where we have women and children, we need to take care of our food, we need power to pump the water. It would have just been unbearable, to far from how we were going to cope with that kind of situation. So it has made a world of difference for us.
My name is Peace Uzanya. I am the guest relationship manager here. I've been working here for close to 6 months now. The Sholly place, is a serenity place for women that are vulnerable, passing through one challenges or the other, most especially domestic women, children, and they come in here. What I basically do is just to maybe talk to them, take care of them, give them an atmosphere of peace, serenity, where they are at peace with themselves, within themselves. They can sit down, relax, and think. And then prayers, we also pray a lot here. We just try to help each other, try to make them feel comfortable enough in this place. So I try to make the guests as comfortable as possible. So when they are living here, they are having a good testimony to tell about the Sholly Sanity Center. It made my life so easy. I don't have to worry about energy, NEPA issues, buying of fuel. It is cost effective. Storage of light in the night. At night, the guests are to sleep and there is no light. Back then, when there is no light and so on, but the solar has really helped us a lot. There is power, energy, enough energy stored in the night that we can still make use of our fans. The guests can sleep and they're at rest. It's safer. We have kids around here and they play. Now it's safer. We don't have any issues of electrical problem or any other thing. It's cost effective in a way that it has helped us reduce our cost, as in electricity bills, buying of fuel, and the rest. It has helped me also in printing, typing, and so on and so forth. Now, as long as there is solar, I can be able to type, I can be able to print out. There is power always running. Even the ACs, we can even make use of it. Why? Because there is solar.
And you know, the amazing thing about this gift that Just Stand Out gave to us was, you know, sometimes when people are gifting you something, you will know that they're gifting you something. They will make you feel like you are being given a wolf, you know. But the team that came to install for us, some of the most gracious people I've ever met, you know, and cheerful and smiling. And sometimes you wonder that maybe our environment had that effect on them, but I don't know. I think it was just who they are. And all throughout the process, because I used to say to my team, make sure you understand what they're doing so that when they're not here, you can figure it out. You won't have to be calling them, ask questions. So the team that was on ground, because we've had a refresh of team members, they asked like 1,001 questions, because I said, I don't want to come and say, how do you do this? And you be telling me we have to call somebody. And the team who came to install were very patient, answered their questions. There was no ruffle in them whatsoever. And it's not an easy thing to come and install the solar that they installed for us. And they did a great job. No issue. We've not had one single issue since. If I had to use 3 words to describe Just Stand Out, the power behind light up a precious life. And here we are a testimony to that. How many precious lives are they lighting up in the Sholly Serenity Place today? We've said 15 already, and how many more are going to be coming through our doors? We don't know. So it's just a gift that is going to keep on giving, touching generations. So in 3 words, how would I describe them? Life-giving, that's 2. So take it as 1. Amazing and blessing. We call this the Clarity Lounge. And why do we call it the Clarity Lounge? Because we know, so all our rooms kind of like intersect here. And from time to time, our residents, they come out and just sit. You know, they don't want to be in their rooms, so they come and sit here. And our prayer is that while they're sitting here, watching a sermon, watching a message, that clarity will begin to come, you know, in terms of where they are in their lives, where they want to be, and all. We really firmly believe that we bring them here into an environment where they can hear from God themselves. We're not very forceful in passing on any message to them in terms of what they must or not must do or must not do while they're here. We believe that God will be ministering to them himself. He will tell them, okay, you need to go into the prayer room to pray, or sit here and listen to me. That's kind of like how we run it. So our residents don't feel coerced into doing anything at all, because we don't want to be the ones doing the work on them. We want the Holy Spirit of God to work on them as they sit here. So here we have, these are 2 of our rooms. The first room is the Oladele Power Room. Each room is named after a loved one of mine that has passed on. The Oladele Power Room, Oladele is my dad. He's passed on. This is a room that's named after him to honor him. Power means that when our residents are in this room, our guests, we believe that the power of God, the transformative power of God, hope inspiring power of God will be working on them as they're in that room. The Adeyanju Revival Room is named after one of my favorite uncle of all times. He's also passed on. This room is named after him. Revival. Everybody that comes in here, we want them to experience revival. But the guests that will be in this room will experience it at a higher level. And I'll walk you over. This is my favorite room because it's the biggest and it's named after my mom, the Monisola Love Room. And I think you may have already heard me say love is my favorite trait of God. This room is named after my mom, and here the power of God's love rests on the guests who are in there per time. It rests on everybody who are in the home, but in this room it's special. This is our biggest room. It takes 4 guests at a time with their children. You can see we have the 4 rooms in there, the 4 beds. So this room, and each resident has their own wardrobe. So each wardrobe has 2 sides. So 2 sides per wardrobe for the 4 people. And in the whole shelter, we call it the war room, and it's where we come to pray. We encourage our guests to come in here, sit with God. This is where the healing really takes place. God dwells here. He dwells in all of the shelter, but you see, in this particular space, once you come in here, you will feel his embrace. And we have testimonies upon testimonies upon testimonies from our residents, our guests, who say that they have met God. So she will come here at night and she will sleep here peacefully till morning, until she was eventually healed of those nightmares and she was able to sleep in her own bed. And also, we don't joke with this room. You can come here, we have anointing oil, we have communion elements, books on prayer. You can talk to him, thank him, praise him, worship him, and that's how healing starts. This is the TV room. Yeah. They get to watch TV, and we're very particular about the content. We curate all our content, so we're not on DSTV or Go or any of those things. We look for content that we know would edify our residents, the women and their children, and that's what we have here. They watch that, 24/7. We don't, although we have times when they watch TV and times when they're doing other things, but we know that when they're watching TV, we are sure of the content that they're watching. Anything that is gonna take them backwards, never. We must always inspire them to reach higher. Right. The Sholly Smile Factory, as we like to refer to the Shola Adefola Foundation, has been in existence for about 5 years plus, and it's just been a joy to be the chief errand girl of this foundation that is touching so many lives. It's touching so many lives to date in this shelter. So we've touched so many lives outside of the shelter because we're a foundation since 2017. We've given out like 4 scholarships to ladies going to university in the Niger Delta in the East. At the point we're giving out monthly allowances to like 15 families who just needed that help to get their feet back on the ground and all of that. So we're in that space of touching lives for God since 2017. But like I said, this shelter is like the biggest errand we've ever run. And we opened our doors on the 12th of June, 2021. I will never forget it. And we took in our first family on the 2nd of July, 2021, a mom with her 3 children. And we can't even begin to thank God enough for the 15 families that have come through us in that time. Moms who came here dejected, hopeless, like scared. You could see the fright in their lives, and then you watch them over time bloom and blossom as the love of God is being poured into them and all of that. So we've had 15 families made up of women and children. Our youngest child has come to us in the belly. The mom came to us pregnant with him, and I thank God because she had told us that if she had not been taken on here, she was planning to get rid of that baby. And now that baby is about to be 8 months old, I believe. And also, I'm really glad. And having solar, imagine being in a home like this in Nigeria in the middle of the hottest season and you have no power. and you're having epileptic, this area we are in is notorious for not having enough power. So we're running 24/7 on generator. Imagine the fuel costs that having solar has saved us today. And even now, we still are relying 100% on solar because when we don't have power at the moment, but still our fuel cost is still lower than it would have been if we didn't have the solar and even if there was power. So it has been a huge help to us and made a huge difference in the lives of our children. They can watch their TV, they can read their books on the computer. We never have to be in darkness. How do you take in families that say you want to take care of them and they're in darkness? I mean, it just defeats the whole purpose. We are trying to express the love and light of God, and then we won't have power to do it. God definitely would not have allowed that to happen, and that's why He sent us the gift of Just Stand Out Solar. The biggest testimony of our lives to date, probably only second to the birth of our baby, safe and sound. It's been a huge pleasure. Our food, we can store our food because initially we had a caterer bringing in food, but it wasn't cost effective. So luckily, again, God located us beside a place where we can get our food, so we have to buy lunch and dinner at the same time and store it. What if you didn't have a freezer? What if you couldn't cool the food? So there's just so many different ways, big and small, that it has made a huge difference in our lives. I mean, I'm here now, we have our music, because when you come in here, our mission is that the moment you cross the threshold of our door, you are embraced by the love and light and peace of God. How do you do that if you don't have power to generate, to play your music, to have the lighting the way it is, to create this ambience that we have created here? Power is life. Solar power is better life, So we're very grateful for the gift of Just Stand Out Solar in our lives. It's making a huge difference, and we can never thank them enough.